What do you think about Paul VI, the day before he closed Vatican II, he said that this council is not part of the extraordinary magisterium. And a few months later, he said it did not exercise infallibility. How can we have a council that's not exercising extraordinary magisterium? It's not infallible. All the
Well,
other councils, I presume, are, part of the extraordinary magisterium and are infallible. How come Paul VI put an asterisk next to this council?
well, again, a council can, in the exercise of its powers as a council, uh, uh, refrain from an exercise of the extraordinary magisterium. So if the council wants to say through the Pope, who's the head of the council, and without whose approval the council is void, it's of no benefit to us. If the Pope wants to say that it did not carry with it the note of infallibility, referring to the nota previa
Mm-hmm.
that he had published, then it doesn't carry the note of infallibility. Why doesn't it carry the note of infallibility? Because merely convening a council to have bishops say things doesn't guarantee infallibility unless, again, they are affirming the constant teaching of the church in an ordinary way, just repeating what has always been taught and shoring it up against attacks and errors, or they're solemnly defining a dogma based upon the prior ordinary teaching. If a council isn't going to do that, if it's going to issue a document like Gaudium et Spes, extolling the modern world and talking about social communications and the need for world government and all kinds of other nonsense, then we don't have any obligation to accept as true those contingent statements about matters that don't involve the constant teaching of the church on faith and morals.
Yeah.
It was a pastoral council. It wanted to conduct this outreach to the modern world, to tell modern man how much we cherish and value the modern advances in science and democratic government and so forth. And if you're going to write a sociological term paper and publish it in the four corners of a conciliar text, then you have to take it as it is. You go through it and you see where the doctrine is and where the commentary is. And that's probably why Paul VI felt compelled to make that note,
Yeah.
that this is not a council that met to define dogmas or even to condemn errors as such.
Yeah. I pulled the quote up, Christopher. You can't see it, but it's on the screen. The exact quote of Paul VI is, in view, and you've said basically everything, all the main terms here. In view of the pastoral nature of the council, it has avoided proclaiming in an extraordinary manner any dogma carrying the mark of infallibility, end quote.
Right. And basically, if a council talks about things that are not doctrinal, we don't have to believe what the council says. We give it a respectful hearing. For example, the very beginning of Dignitatis Humanae declares that modern man is increasingly aware of the dignity of the human person. No, he isn't.
It's not.
The opposite is the truth.
Yeah.
You can't make a bold claim about modern man's awareness.
Yeah, that cannot be infallible extraordinary teaching. It's obvious. Yeah.
It can't even be Catholic doctrine. It's an opinion about the psychology of modern man. When has a council ever issued commentaries on the mind of modern man, man's consciousness of this,
It's
man's
laughable.
awareness of that, man's progress toward this? That's the problem with Gaudium et Spes and the council in a nutshell, that the conciliar fathers, after junking the preparatory schema, ranged far beyond matters of faith and morals, matters of Catholic doctrine, and decided to talk about the modern world. Well, that's very interesting. We'll read it and see if it corresponds to reality. And in many places, it simply doesn't. Beginning with the statement in Dignitatis Humanae, man is completely unaware of human dignity now. It's being trampled upon all over the world. Babies are being slaughtered by the hundreds of millions in their mothers' wombs because men have lost sight of human dignity. Now they're attacking even the very idea of gender.
Yeah.
Male and female, he made them, says the book of Genesis. No, they say. They're rebelling against all of creation now, against being itself, something as basic as male and female.
Yeah.
And so I have to say that the optimism the Council Fathers expressed toward the modern world was a fatuous optimism. It didn't have any bearing on reality. We were in the middle of the spread of Soviet communism, the rise of the contraceptive mentality and legalized abortion throughout the world, and here they are extolling modern man's increasing awareness of human dignity. It's almost laughable. And in fact, Cardinal Ratzinger said I believe he was writing as Cardinal Ratzinger or Father Ratzinger. I forget which document. He said that one of the problems with the council was that the optimism of the Kennedy era pervaded its deliberations. Now, when has the optimism of a political society, the Kennedy era, ever pervaded the documents of an ecumenical council?
Yeah.
He said something along the lines of the mentality overcame the council fathers that they could start over again and make everything new.
A new Pentecost.
Yes, and the council became a 0 hour. Well, this is all nonsense.
Ridiculous.
There were no councils that become 0 hours. There were no councils that exude optimism about a particular era in history. This is all sociology and anthropology, not Catholic doctrine. And this is why the Second Vatican Council is unique. It's also why Pierre Congar said that he's one of the movers and shakers at the council, one of the theologians of the new theology. Pierre Congar said that with the council we have had our October Revolution in the church. The October Revolution, October 13, 1962, the day that Cardinal Leonard seized the microphone and threw a monkey wrench into the council, and we ended up with the documents we're talking about now instead of the conservative preparatory schema. It was the October Revolution.
Absolutely.